Controversial changes to rules governing pilots' flying hours are to become law after MEPs backed the European Commission's proposals. The British Pilots Union, BALPA, had strongly opposed the changes, which it said could compromise flight safety, with pilots potentially being awake for 22 hours before needing to land an aircraft. The union's General Secretary, Jim McCausland, says the new rules could lead to pilots getting more tired.
Britain's 10,000 pilots with 40 million flying hours experience between them of going from time zone to dime zone and having early starts in the morning, they're saying that these rules are unsafe. And what we would like to see happen is independent medical experts draft these rules rather than a political fudge in the European Parliament.
West Midlands MEP Nikki Sinclaire joins us now on BBC WM. Good afternoon to you, Nikki.
Good afternoon.
Which way did you vote on this today?
Well, I supported the motion to throw this out, so I'm against the Commission proposals, which I think are ludicrous. Normally we can have a laugh at EU madness, but today we should be frightened by this type of EU madness.
Why are these rules coming into effect? Why were the EU generally so eager to pass it?
Well, it's this one-size-fits-all. They tried to legislate for over 500 million people in 28 countries. So, you have countries that have no limits whatsoever. So they've had to negotiate with some countries, and, it's 22 hours. So they're making it a one-size-fits-all legislation. Now, we've got better rules in this country, but what the fear is, and I think BALPA are frightened of, you have some airlines, and we know them, Ryanair, EasyJet, with their records, they might actually say, well, we're going to adhere to the EU rules on this and ask their pilots to fly more hours. And of course, if their pilots don't fly more hours, they remove them.
So we haven't got the independence in this country to say, well, actually, we want to stick by the rules that we've set down.
Well, that's my whole point of being elected to the European Parliament and why I want a referendum on whether we should be members of the European Union, because it basically comes to this crux of the question, who makes the laws that we are governed by? Is it Westminster or Brussels and Strasbourg? And 75% of the time, the laws derive from Brussels and Strasbourg. And I think that's why we need a referendum. But this is really, as I say, this is scary, because this, I live quite near Birmingham Airport. That's putting my safety and the safety of other people at risk here. And what we're going to do, are we just going to ignore this until an accident happens, and then we say, why did that happen? Why did we allow that to happen?
And very fresh in our memory is the story last month concerning two pilots who fell asleep while in control of a plane.
I know. The other thing here that hasn't been publicised, there's also a proposal here to reduce it on longer ones from 3 crew members to 2. And, again, it just puts safety at risk. The aviation industry is fairly a safe industry. There are instances of problems, but it is a very, very safe industry. But why would you even play with that? The effects of any aircraft, however small or large, can be absolutely devastating if something goes wrong.
Nikki, thanks so much for joining us. Nikki Sinclaire, MEP there. So